Okay, we're back. Now these have dried and I want to show you some of the beautiful colors that we get. I'll put it in the sunshine so you can see. It's just some beautiful colors. And let's see, looks a lot like those geraniums. Here you see you get a lot of different texture there on the edges and a lot of variance in the color in the actual piece itself. I'm going to make green next. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I'm just going to show you how I do it. This is another texture you can get. This one requires a lot more skill. You slosh water on there. This just gives a different texture. Okay, so you put that on, and then you can get, the green that I'm using is called Jenkins green, and you can splash a green on, choose any green. If it's in the craft store green, just get a couple of different greens, because the geranium has a lot of yellowy greens and dark greens. And if you want to make it darker, choose a dark blue. Okay, so we've got some nice green texture. These are going to make great leaves. Now, because there is a change in how the greens are, you know, the green goes from yellowy to almost real kind of a brown green. I'm going to put a little yellow. And enjoy those edges, because those edges are going to make really lovely little leaf shapes. Okay, and then I'm going to use a dark blue. If I try to tell you what it is, I'm sure I'll mispronounce it, but this is well, it's dark blue. It has a strange name. Anyway, it looks like dark blue jeans, but it's not ultramarine. It just makes it dark. And I'm also going to put just a little bit of that burnt sienna. Golden calls it quinacridone burnt orange. It's a much nicer color than burnt sienna. Just get a little more, it's not as earthy a color, just a little more. Anyway, you get some really nice colors there. Oh hey, we've got more green to use up. Okay, now that's all I'm going to do for that. I'm going to let it dry. It takes a little time to dry, but don't try to move it. I've tried moving it before. Unless you put it on a board, you leave a nice little trail wherever you go. So now, what you're going to cover it, what you're going to make your collage on is, you can use any board. You can use, I'm going to use this because I happen to have it on hand. It's a canvas. But think before you make it. It has to be sealed, because otherwise it will absorb moisture out of the air. So what you're going to do is choose something and then seal it either with a varnish or seal it with a gesso. And if you're going to use, if you're going to have light things on dark, just you could use a black gesso, or you don't even have to make sure it's white. But if you're going to make something that's light, like I'm going to have a light background and I'm going to put the dark on top, that works. But if you're going to put a light on top of a dark background, you have to make sure that you can't see through it when you're done. Like, it has to be, the paint has to be solid enough on it so that the dark doesn't come through. So you need to glue it. Now you can use any glue, but just make sure that it will dry clear. That's the most important. If it dries yellow and you're using a white, you're gluing it onto something white and you want it to keep white, you'll have a kind of a yellow color. So I'm going to use, today I'm going to use a Yes paste, and I've diluted it. It's kind of really more like a sauce, more like that texture, thickness. The other thing I've used a lot is Golden's soft gel. and that is a really good adhering paste. Actually, I have not used this Yes paste yet, but it says on there that it's clear when it dries. You can use like an Elmer's glue, but just make sure that you use a glue that, well, it says it'll dry clear. So I could, if I wanted, like if I had a smaller piece, if I was doing a smaller collage, I could put this, just glue it on there, but this piece is bigger than that, so I'm going to put it in pieces. Oh, and this piece of paper, it's called Mulberry Handmade. You can get a lot of different papers online. I got all of these from Daniel Smith in Washington, and what you do is you glue, I glued the piece of paper because then I'm sure that all of the glue is saturated into it, and that it's gonna, if I glue the surface, I'm afraid that there might not get enough adhesion. So you put a nice amount of glue on it, make sure you cover everything, and then you glue it. Now for me, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to take advantage of this cut edge, and I'm going to put it so that I don't have to do any trimming later. I'm just going to wrap it around there, and when it's finished, I don't need to frame it. Now if you don't care about that and you're going to frame it, just go to the edge and you can cut it off later. But there you go. That's the next step, is gluing. And now I'm going to cut this in pieces. This piece here, I'm going to cut it in pieces. Oh, and papers. You can use any kind of paper. You can use handmade papers, or you can make more tissue paper and just add more texture. Then you'll just get more variety. You can use several different papers. You don't even have to do a background. This is, I think, probably the first time I've done a background. Usually I do landscapes and I do it in pieces. So there you go, that's one option, and I'll be back with you later.